folks, hello and welcome back. MTG Burgeoning here, and with today's video we are going to review a play variant, and this play variant is referred to as Chaos Magic. And all you really need for Chaos Magic is a lot of ideas and a few dice. So let's get started. As you can see, Chaos Magic has a Chaos phase, which takes place before you untap, but after you phase things in. During the Chaos phase, you cannot play any spells or fast effects, except for those listed later on. Triggered effects will occur like normal, but no one can respond. During your Chaos phase, you will roll dice to get a random number. You will need to generate a number between 1 and 200. We'll use a 20-sided die and a 10-sided die to get the 200 options. You roll a 20 and a 0, there's 200. You roll 20 and a 1, there's 1, 20 and a 2, there's 2, and so on and so forth. Once you roll, you look on the list and do whatever that option says. Any creatures that put into play from Chaos rolls that do not have haste cannot attack that turn. The Chaos phase is too late to count for continuously since the beginning of your turn requirement for attacking. Chaos rolls do not get through Shroud or Hexproof or similar things. However, all Chaos rolls are colorless. So for example, a Terminate will take out a White Knight. The result of a Chaos roll is that you have a colorless targeting effect that you control and must pay additional costs for, but you do not have to pay the original mana cost, just additional costs. During the game, people may acquire things called roll forks and counter rolls. These are one-time abilities that can be used to fork any roll, which means copy it. You choose new targets and do not have to pay any additional costs, or to counter any roll. Since these are the result of rolls, they can be forked or countered themselves by other roll forks or counter rolls. Keep track of these with dice or counters. Did you just die from loss of life? Well, hold on a second. Would you like a last word? Maybe one chance to keep playing? You get a spite roll. Set your life to 0 and roll once on the Chaos roll chart. Resolve normally. If you gain life, you keep playing. If not, your ability will resolve. This creates a mini Chaos phase and cannot be responded to in any way save by the aforementioned rolls, counter rolls and fork rolls. Unfortunately, this does not apply to losing from poison counters, being decked, or things like Amulet of Quaz or Helix Pinnacle taking you down. There are several additional charts to roll on besides the Chaos roll chart. They are Personal Land, Wackyland, and Enchant World Land. And each of these require a d20. Sometimes you'll be instructed to roll on those charts instead. So to start the game, at the beginning, someone rolls on the Enchant World Land. That effect begins the game in play. It is considered a world enchantment, but not a land. And it is affected by things that affect enchantments, such as a Tranquility, destroying all enchantments. It cannot be targeted. It is not a card, so it does not go to the graveyard when destroyed. It just leaves play. If another world enchantment enters the battlefield, the one already in play is destroyed. So to begin the game, we would roll on Enchant World Land. So let's take a look at some of the options presented in the Enchant World Land. 1d20, and if you roll a 1, you're going to have a Masquerade Cycle. Any player may pay the activation cost of any activated ability or of any non-land permanent. If you roll a 2, you got a Mirari Concentrate. All creatures get +1/+1. All lands produce an additional mana of the appropriate type when tapped for mana. Whenever a player pays an instant or sorcery spell, that player may pay 4 if he or she does. Put a copy of that spell onto the stack. Choose new targets for the copy. And as stated, it goes all the way to 20, and one of these starts the game in play. Concordant Crossroads. Howling Mind is wonderful to start off and play. Look at that Allurin all the way back from Tempest. City of Solitude at 15, and then 17 through 20, we'll find on the back here. And of course, these are all variations. These are not the only Chaos Enchant Worlds that you can have. You can make up any number of different ones as long as you've got 20. Okay, that is Enchant World Land. Also mentioned earlier was Personal Land and Wackyland. So let's take a look at the Personal Land. Personal Land again is a D20, and it has various things that you do. It'll instruct you to do that. So if you roll your D20 and you get a 1, it's going to instruct you to roll a D6, and then X becomes the result. And then for each opponent, they will lose X life, and then each opponent gains X life until you have taken X turns. You and permanents you control have hexproof and cannot be attacked, and creatures you control are unblockable. So it's all different things for Personal Land. How about number 5? You and target opponent exchange life totals. How about number 13, getting a Gunky counter? When you die, you may sacrifice a Gunky counter. If you do, shuffle your graveyard, hand, and all permanents you own into your library, draw 7 cards. Your life total becomes half of your previous starting life total, rounded up. All right, that's 1 through 15, and then here is 16 through 20. How about number 18? Roll on Wackyland, Personal Land, or Enchant World Land. Okay, that is the Personal Land. And now we are going to look at Wackyland. Again, we're looking at a D20. And when you hit your number, you do what you're told to do. Number 5 is nice. Until your next turn, you may choose all targets of chaos rolls. That is very nice, especially if you've got a big multiplayer game. That is fantastic. How about number 15? Roll once on the Chaos List, which we're going to see very soon. Wackyland, Personal Land, and Enchant World Land. And then finally, we got 16 through 20. 17 is quite a challenge if you ever roll on that one, doing everything backwards. It's fantastic. And 19 is just outrageous. You're pretty much getting a Black Lotus and every single Mox. Okay, that is Wackyland. So let's get to our Chaos List. 200 options here. And again, this is just a compilation. There are so many suggestions that you can make. There are so many different things that you can do. You can simply just list 200 of your favorite cards. So let's take a pretty brief look at what we got here on our Chaos List. Okay, starting with number 1. And you'll notice that on some of the chaos rolls, it instructs you to, like it mentioned earlier, roll on one of the other lands, like Enchant World Land, or Personal Land, or Wackyland. About number 19, folks. Yeah, that wouldn't be bad. Prosperity is a nice one at 22. And of course, 28. Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure rolling 28. Paying attention to number 33, we got Navineral's Lil Disc. Not the full biggin of the Navineral's disc, just the light version. Okay. Brain Geyser. How about 42? Look at number 50. Wackyland number 3. You roll a 3-sider. And see how many times you roll on Wackyland. Oh, boo, stasis. Yeah, I know. There are some elements of control added to this list. This is a list that my playgroup and I have been refining for many, many years. We've added some, we've taken some out, we've updated. How about number 63, Huge and Light? All right, moving closer to the 100s here. Going to pick up the pace just a little bit, so we're still keeping everybody here. Number 77, Time Crawl. As you saw at number 20 on Wackyland, if you get a Time Crawl and you're going to pass the dice to the next player on your left, of course, or right, depending on which order you're going, and you put a turn counter on the Time Crawl jackpot. Anybody who hits that Time Crawl jackpot is going to get that many extra turns. Number 79, Relentless Assault. Boy, I'll tell you, back in the day, I remember going to my local game store, cracking open my little wallet, pulling out like $4 or $5 to buy a Relentless Assault, and it was like mind-blowing that a $4 or $5 single was being purchased. I remember that day. I remember the playgroup's reaction, and just reflecting back on that day now, it was like nothing compared to where cards have gone since then. Okay. How about Jekyll Hops Light? There's your counter roll at number 102. How about that wheel? How about 106? Wheel of Fortune. Boy, what a great card. What a ridiculously expensive card as well. Okay. All right, more than halfway there, folks. Here we are with our next page. Okay. Look at number 117, Desperate Times. Love that card. I'm sorry, love that roll. I really do suggest trying this with your play group. It adds a different dynamic, a different element to Magic. It's not quite plain chase, which is another interesting variant. I definitely give this one a whirl. Oops. Sorry about that. Meet in the middle. triple Enchant World land, number 159. Get rid of all Enchant World land effects and then roll 3 times on Enchant World land. And I'll tell you from experience, that could be a great thing or that could be a terrible thing, depending on the decks that you're playing with or against. You test it out. You let me know. Diminishing Returns. Who remembers that blue spell from way back in the day? Any long-term Magic players here? Come on, you know Diminishing Returns. $189. That's right, $189, baby. We can't own the card, but we can put the effect on a chaos sheet, baby. And finally, here's the last 10. Rolling 200, choose any roll from the Chaos List and resolve it. You just sit back, you read through 199 of these babies, and you just pick whatever one you want. Chaos Magic. Okay, so folks, that is our play variant of Chaos Magic. And to practice that out, we take our 10-sider, our 20-sider, we roll that out, and there we have 58. So we would go to our Chaos List, we'd find 58, we'd bring that up, and we are going to get creepy with something, folks. Creeping Mold will come in, and something's getting destroyed, an artifact, a land, or an enchantment. And that's just how it is. That's how you roll when you're Chaos Magic, baby. You do that, you roll that baby again. Yeah, you're 87. So you're going to your list again. You find an 87. You're pulling that up. And what are you getting? Oh, look at that. 3 Chaos rolls. We're going to go with this and see where we go. 3 Chaos rolls. Oh, yes. All right, so we're going 62. Get our sheet. We're going to pull this baby out. 62. 62 is Rolling Thunder. We'll roll a d6, and then we'll Rolling Thunder our way to getting rid of some creatures or doing some damage to some players. And our second of our 3 Chaos rolls, we're going to roll that again. We're going to go 127. As you can see, your 20-sider goes first. 127. Right to the bottom of the list, and we're getting a counter roll. Wonderful. Man, these 3 rolls, why can't I get this when I'm really playing? And our last roll, 183. We're going deep on our list here. Flip this baby over and go fish. I'm naming an on-land card. I'm looking at all players' hands and put all copies of the named card into my hand. And if you know what decks your play group plays with pretty frequently, boy, are you going to benefit from that. Folks, this is Chaos Magic. Give it a try. Come up with some stuff. Use what you see here. Talk it over with your meta group, with your play group. Do it. Chaos Magic, folks. Thanks again. Go forth and have a chaotic day.